My name's Ryan Shelton. I'm a co-host on the Imperfects, the Jewish grandson of Austrian and English immigrants, and I grew up on and am now currently living on Wurundjeri country. I'd like to recognise the traditional peoples of this continent whose land was stolen nearly 250 years ago. In particular, we at the Imperfects would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional owners of the land on which this podcast was recorded, and we extend our respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. The rich storytelling history of the world's oldest living culture is what we proudly pay homage to when we share stories on the Imperfects.
This episode contains a conversation which mentions depression and suicidal thoughts. If this feels like it is too much for you to listen to right now, you may want to skip this one and come back another time.
The Imperfects invites you into a very safe place. A place where we share without judgment and drink heaps and heaps of vulnerability. Grab yourself a cup. This is the Vulnerability House.
Oh, I've chosen a very bad flavour of tea today.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's, your mood will be lifted shortly because an old flame of mine has sauntered into the studio.
You dirty flirt.
Michael Wipfli, you can call him Wippa.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here in the tree house.
Tree house?
Tea house. Let's go for the top, guys.
I do like the vulnerability tree house.
Tree house, yeah. Tea house is what I meant. A very unique place to be with friends to gather and share.
Exactly.
Who came up with the tea house part?
Who do you think?
The master of all puns. The minute I heard about it, I went, Rise at work. Yeah. He's done something in 2023.
Just for a moment.
Well
and
done,
then
mate.
Nothing else after that. Whip, so good to have you here.
Can I jump in? So great to be at your show the other night.
Oh, you came to our live show,
It was extraordinary. And when I said to you guys, I think you were both taken back, when I said it was better than I thought.
Well,
better than you expected, yeah.
Because what I was trying to say was I couldn't work out how the messaging and the importance of what you guys do with the funny of Ryan Shelton all came together in one stage show. I couldn't get my head around it.
That's very nice.
It was seamless.
Thank you, mate.
Wow.
Not to mention the amount of people buying merch after the show meeting you guys. Fair bit of cash in that one. All right, ticket sales are up.
Tickets are still available.
It's not
for
about the
shows.
money, right?
No, it's not.
It's not about
It's
the
not.
money.
It's
not about the message.
No, it's connecting, messaging.
Yeah, whatever. If there's a dollar in it at the end of the day, we're having a win. But
Well, if there's a dollar at the end of the day, then it was absolutely worth it.
we'll share it. Share with everyone.
But thanks, Mike. There are still tickets available at livenation.com.au for shows later in the year.
Okay.
If you're interested.
I would like to also say, well done on putting together such a phenomenal podcast and a brand that invites people in to such a safe place.
Thanks,
I reckon
Mike.
that's phenomenal.
Thank you, mate.
so much.
Third point. I'm absolutely honoured to be invited to be here.
Now that you've
I really am.
Yeah, now that you've covered off all your prepared
Thanks for having me,
bullet
guys.
points, have you got anything else?
Fourthly. No, ran out.
So here we just do conversation. So we just chat. There's no speeches
It's a good
necessary.
presentation.
But thank you, mate. That's so lovely of you to say
I
those
think it's
things.
going well so far.
Yeah, no, it's going really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
You are, you make me feel good.
Oh, that's lovely.
And I say that because we had an episode with Dr. M the other day, our resident psychologist, who said the thing and this may not have come out yet, but it's a bit of a spoiler for some people, for everyone. She said that we choose friends on the way they make us feel. And I would like you to know, we've only hung out maybe 2 or 3 times, but you make me feel good.
Oh, it's very kind. You make me feel good too. No, I know what you mean by that. I think you learn that as you get older though, don't you? Where you just end up associating with people that feel great to be around.
Yeah,
And that you
absolutely.
feel that, not that you're trying to steal anything from them, but people that help you grow, I think, as well.
Yeah. Well,
know,
it was the end of last year. We went to a party. My wife and I went there and we didn't know that many people. Ryan, you were there. And when you don't know many people going to a party, it's a bit of like, well, who are we going to talk to? Are we going to like we're just going to be two of us in the corner chatting all night, and you met us out the front. And Wayne, you weren't waiting for us specifically. You just happened to be out the front at the time.
It's great service.
And you were just so unbelievably lovely.
No,
Then you helped Penny get an Uber at the end of the night on your. In fact, you ordered an Uber for her on your phone, which is just.
I was going to bring that up.
Do you need to be paid back?
Well, just when I saw the merch sales, I thought about that Uber ride. Hang on a minute, there's a balancer somewhere.
So, look, for the few of you who don't know who Wippa is, it's probably worth reminding everyone or introducing Wippa to some people who may not know, because you do a breakfast radio show in Sydney. Of course, it's broadcast nationally.
National 6 till 7,
6 till 7 on the Nova Network.
Nova Network.
Fitzy, Wippa and Kate Ritchie.
That's right.
And you've been doing radio for such a long time. Even before you've doing this show, we did a show together, Ryan, Monty and Wippa.
Correct.
On the Nova Network. 4 till 6 weekdays.
Yeah.
Not worth plugging now.
If there were some podcasts floating around. No, they didn't even have podcasts back then.
No.
Would they have?
Don't know.
CDs. We'll launch them.
Yeah. But so Wippa and I have known each other for a very, very long time. Got to work together for a couple of years, which was heavenly. What a time.
Great fun.
Great, great fun. And now you're here. So generous of you to come all the way from Sydney.
I said to the guys beforehand too, back to the stage show, was I said when we did the radio show, the funniest parts were when the songs were on, because Sheltsy was Sheltsy. And the performance and the facial expressions, and I've said this to you before.
Got to get the off-air on here, mate.
You know what I mean, mate? Bring it in. And then I have said to you, whenever you do, something for your website or the stage show or YouTube, whatever it might be, it's just outstanding.
Oh, Mike, thank you. I'm getting slightly embarrassed, believe it or not, but I will say that you can draw a pretty clean line, I think, from when I feel like I'm at my best is when I'm around people that I feel most comfortable with. And I think when we were doing the radio show Whip, it was only on for a couple of years, but I feel like any time I was doing anything good is because I felt supported. Same now, same here on the stage show or in the podcast. It's just, I think it's the same with most people, but when you feel supported, you feel like you can fly, you can do anything.
100%.
But this is the Vulnerability House, of course, and there is a deck of cards here, Mike, and as you may know, you pick 3 cards, and then if one of those cards has a question that invokes some form of vulnerability or a memory or something that you want to talk about, feel comfortable talking about, then the floor is yours.
Love that. Let me take from the top of the pile. Once again, available at the merch stand after the shows. Here we go.
And online if you can't come to the show.
And online, of course.
Yeah.
What part of your life do you feel immature? I could do that one.
It could take a while.
I don't know about that one. What traits in others do you wish you weren't threatened by? In a film about your life, what challenges would the main character have to overcome? Can I just say something on traits?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just quickly. I prefer to talk about the film one, I think. But I want to say something about traits.
Is this a bit?
Huh?
Is this a bit?
No, this is not a bit. I've done 4. I've done 4 now, mate. You said prepare 4.
Yes.
Isn't it funny when you're talking about you make me feel good?
Yeah.
I reckon there's one thing that I still do today, which I sort of did from a very young age, is when you spend your time meeting different people, you kind of just handpick the bits you like about each person. I don't know if do you do that?
Yeah.
Where you go, hey, I really like the way that guy handled that, or I really like the way where that guy went.
As a way to kind of like take a cue how you want to behave.
Yes. As in what you want to build into your personality based on little bits that you steal.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got a basket at Easter and you're going around picking little personality eggs up and filling your basket to take home.
Absolutely.
That's so true.
Whether it's appreciation or whatever it might be. That's a comment I have on the traits card, guys.
Let's do the
But
deck.
I just find myself doing that the entire time. Okay, what about this? So this is the one that I think is worth doing. In a film about your life, what challenges would the main character, you, have to overcome? ? I would say for this one, I'd go back to self-belief. Like,
before you get into it, considering it's a film about your life, any thoughts on who might play you?
Really good question. Clooney's a bit aged now, isn't he?
I'd say pretty spot on.
It's a couple of greys, but it's not Clooney. Yeah, but late coma, I could see sort of, oh, no, it's about me. So it's not he's going to come to me. I'm not going to him.
Yeah. He's
So
playing
George
your
isn't
life.
asking me to play his life.
No, I'm not doing the George
I got
Clooney
it.
biopic.
I got it the wrong way around.
Now, George, remember you can choose anyone to play you. Oh, God, Wippa's great.
Oh, your decision is final. No, self-belief would be the challenge, I think, that it would have to overcome.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at self-belief and when you sort of peel it back to try and work out why and where it started possibly, then it would have to be...
I never thought you were going to say self-belief.
Really?
No. Actually, as we were talking outside, I was thinking, you're saying you pick things from people.
Yeah.
I was like, I love Wippa's confidence. That's what I was just thinking. I love the confidence of this, like, and in a very warm way. It was like a warm confidence. I loved it.
But I would say, because I'm sort of surprised, but not that surprised, because I feel like everyone's got some form of like lack of self-belief. But I think it would depend on what area. I'm interested to know what area of your life you lack self-belief.
Well, I think it probably stemmed from school. I mean, I was never academic, believe it or not. Got, TER of 16.6, rounded up to 17.
And that's a ranking out of 100.
Yep. Not 20.
Also at a school that is quite academic.
Very academic.
Yeah.
But it
The
was
most academic, maybe.
it was more to the point of, I don't know, maybe I was critical of myself because I threw in the towel too early when it came to being too hard. I never really challenged myself. But I think it got to a point too, and this could have even led to why I ended up in radio, but I kind of just sort of danced the dance and could talk when I had to, whether it was getting out of something or whatever it might be. But in doing that, you've created an act that you're almost scared of getting caught. If anybody, like for me, still to this day, if I'm typing or writing something, because I'm a terrible speller, and there's someone over my shoulder,
Can't.
hands are frozen. Hands are frozen.
Yeah.
Like, it scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, right.
I mean, my 8-year-old, right, Ted, who's really good at reading and spelling, so phenomenal result so far at this
that's
stage.
amazing.
He's a better speller than me.
Oh, it doesn't. I mean, having
You wouldn't be surprised by that.
having worked in the same room as you for 2 years, this is not to make fun at all, but just to give people
Safe zone, safe spot.
An example. It would just all be on our computers in the lead up to the show, and I'd just hear Mike across the room. He'd just be like, Shelts, truck, TRU. What's next?
CE?
Yeah, it was a constant.
It was a little bit like that. And I think, having what sort of ended up being an act almost.
What is it? When you say, sorry, I keep interrupting, but did you play that up at school? Did you sort of try and get ahead of everyone's, like did you draw attention to the fact you weren't academic, or were you trying to hide it?
It's a really good question. I don't know if I got drawn into the idea of, if everybody knew that I wasn't academic, then they wouldn't expect anything.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Probably
set the
created
expectations.
I probably created the diversion of, hang on a minute, let's look after that poor kid. He can't spell truck.
Oh, okay.
And that sort of distracted, I think, let's create a problem instead of giving him a kick up the bum.
Oh, so,
maybe.
So sort of like almost like trying to kind of like get sympathy as opposed
to an extent, yeah. Yeah, I think there was a little bit of that.
So playing on the fact that you didn't feel as smart in certain areas, in academic areas, you're like, okay, well, I'll go the complete opposite way.
Yeah, almost the victim.
Yep, the victim.
Oh, my God, don't you feel sorry for me?
Mm.
I can't do that bit.
Yeah.
So care for me over the fact that I can't do it.
As opposed to get angry or...
Look over here. Got a monkey in my hand. Don't look over there.
Yeah. You always had that monkey at school, didn't you?
That's when they should have cottoned on.
Carried it everywhere.
But the other thing is too, and I won't go too far into this because I think there's some sensitive parts to it, but growing up and developing really early, as we've discussed this, Shelts, as hairy gents.
Yeah. You mean physically developing.
Physically developing very early, like pubes in grade 4. It was torture, absolute torture.
Yeah.
So it was me looking like a teacher in year 7 onwards and wanting to hang around with all the other kids. And I remember I got hair under my arms and a snail trail on my stomach when I was like, grade 5 or 6.
Mm.
I remember, we were down at the beach and I wouldn't take my top off. And then I would sit in this boat shed, right, this tin shed. It's 43 degrees outside. And everyone go, come for a swim. I just want to hang out here in the shade, keep it cool in here.
Because it was the fear of people seeing
it. Yeah. And then finally, after literally sitting in an oven, I went into the water and I had my board shorts pulled up over my stomach where the snout, over my belly button.
Yeah.
And then everybody laughed at me because my pants were so high. And I was like, man, I can't win here. But the part that I don't want to go down too far is that no one spoke to me about it. Like no one said, hey, you're growing up really fast physically.
Oh, I see.
You're the only kid out of all the boys whose body is that way. No one else is. So I was different. And that had a big impact where it was swimming carnivals, all those moments. I remember shaving under my arms once because I just didn't know what to do. And then I had my arm up and someone saw down the sleeve of my T-shirt and went, he shaves his arms. I just
that is horrific.
And then I remember I would lie in bed and I remember we did at the same time as I'm growing up, there's sort of development classes going on. So you're learning about how the human body works.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so awkward in those classes. Would have been year 7 maybe. And there's this, for one, it's talking about the changes in the body and they're talking about wet dreams and how this kid's had a wet dream, this boy, and that's part of growing up. But to hide it, he just went downstairs and got a glass of milk and then spilt it on his bed.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What an hell of a showing the mum thought. My son is a weapon. Oh, my God, you've really drained it.
A weapon.
But I think it was confusing to watch that video because I didn't know if that's how much came out or he just spilt his milk.
That is a very confusing message.
I didn't want Weet-Bix the next morning.
Milk's not but you want apple juice, not milk, probably.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
So, but I remember lying in bed and praying that I didn't have a wet dream because I thought that would be embarrassing and that I wouldn't get hair on my back.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no God.
Yeah.
Milk.
Yeah.
Milk. Not a tissue box, but part of that brought up big sensitivities for me. Like when we were in year 9, we went on a trip, like a school trip, and I was standing there and one of the parents came over and said, hey, what year do you teach?
Oh.
And I said, no, I'm one of the kids.
Oh.
I'm one of the kids.
What does that do to you?
Oh.
I couldn't stop thinking about it.
I just didn't want to be different. I just wanted to be like all the other guys. And here are all these other kids with squeaky high voices.
So you weren't being teased or anything?
Yeah, a little bit, but in a joking way around mates. There was an element of that where, and because I tried to hide it, they wanted to reveal it.
Yeah, of course.
So,
did you get like a nickname or anything? Did it go that far or? I'm not leading you to anything. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds loaded.
It isn't at
You don't
all.
know about Sea Gorilla? Sorry, I thought this was a safe space.
I honestly don't know that. I wasn't trying to set that up.
Oh, okay.
Sea Gorilla.
Sorry, I thought this was...
Oh, sorry. I didn't
Anyway,
mean
Josh
to
and
trigger.
Hugh, what I was saying... Can I get some vodka in the tea? Sea Gorilla was one of them.
Okay.
Actually?
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
I'm not joking, but it was me. I'd come out of the beach, out of the water at the beach, and there was a teacher at school. And imagine if this happened today. Here he is, the tree swinger.
The what?
Tree swinger.
Oh.
You're a monkey,
my
you're an
God.
ape.
Oh, God.
He used to call me the tree swinger.
Because of all your hair.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jeez, that is horrific.
This is making me feel really sad.
But then I got my back lasered. It's so funny how I reckon where I'm at now at the age of 43, I've done like more than a hairy backflip. I'm so comfortable with body image. I could sit here in the nude. I won't because of the viewers and that.
Yeah, it's the cameras are up.
One there too.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't care. I don't care. I just think
Really?
how different can what I have be different to everybody else's.
When did that change?
I don't know. The funny thing is, Shelts, as you would know, then I started taking some hair medication. Right?
Hugh would know as well.
Hugh would know. Who cares? Who knows? But, Josh's got good hair. But then
I took them for a bit.
it all
Did you?
It all came back.
I didn't know
We've
that.
never talked about that, actually.
Haven't you?
I was
It's looking
paranoid
good.
at 19.
You do get paranoid, don't you?
Yeah, because I started seeing a couple of hairs drop out, and I'm like, well, it's
Whoa.
happened to Hugh. It's happening to me.
And all
Yeah,
your friends
so I
are
took them-
saying you look like Hugh soon.
Yeah, so I started.
Oh my
I took them
God!
for about 6
Take everything
months.
you can.
Oh, wow.
Ditched him
but-
forever. Never had to take him ever again.
But then I stopped because I was like, maybe it's not. And then I stopped, and I was lucky enough that it didn't continue.
Okay,
But
I mean,
sorry,
if you're
Whip.
still on them, it doesn't matter. Whoever's on them, it doesn't. It's cool.
I grew early. I developed early as well, and it was mortifying. It was so hard.
So mortifying.
Yeah, I reckon it was about probably grade 6 for me, 5 or
Was
6.
it?
And I was, I remember that I was starting to get a moustache.
Oh, yeah, I did too, yeah.
And I didn't. I don't know why we did this, but Mum, I think the logic behind it was,
I know the logic. Okay.
well, rather than shaving, she waxed my moustache the first
Oh,
few
yeah.
times.
Okay.
Hurt
That's all right.
like, but then people at school found out that I'd waxed my moustache.
Yeah,
That's tough.
That
yeah.
was a difficult one.
The,
That's
like
hard.
the wispy,
I'm
I
like,
got the
yeah.
wispy black moustache very early.
And
You would've-
waxed or shaved it?
Shaved
Or-
it with an
okay.
electric shaver,
See, I
yeah.
should have just shaved it. I think the thought process was if we shave it, it's coming back thicker.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whereas if we wax it, we can delay
That's
it for another
true.
6 months, and
Yeah.
all you need to do is get through a few more 6-month brackets, and other people will start going through it too. But
Oh, yeah.
I think I might have told my mates in a moment of thinking I'd get supported for this decision, and told some teenage boys that I'd waxed my moustache. didn't quite get the support I was after.
I'm glad you never bleached because that would have looked really weird.
Oh, my moustache.
Yeah, if you had like a white moustache.
Yeah, still
growing up.
time. There's still
Still
time.
time.
Sorry,
And so,
Marco.
so you took hair tablets.
In more recent times, which not only has kept me relatively thick and luscious on top, but every other hair that has been removed in the past 43 years has gone, I'm back,
really?
I'm back.
Oh, that's annoying.
Not really, because I don't care
Oh,
anymore.
you don't care?
No.
That's great.
And then when I started taking these meds, Lisa said to me,
it's your wife, Lacey.
yeah, my wife Lisa said to me, oh my God, what has happened to your body? And I said, I'm back. The sea gorilla. Sea gorilla's returned, and he's cool with it now. Like I would give anything to have the luscious hair on my chest that I used to have.
So
Isn't that funny? You just stop caring.
do you know when that transition, can you pinpoint when the transition of caring about body image and not happened, or is it just a thing where suddenly you're like, actually, I don't care?
I think it was just I don't care. That's where I'm at in my life.
Yeah.
I think you certainly don't know who you are completely by 30.
No way.
No. And then 35, you feel like you've got the corner pieces to the puzzle. And I don't think it's, until you're sort of nudging 40, possibly 40, do you go, I'm pretty comfortable with how this picture looks.
That's locked in now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, it'll always evolve, I hope. But right now, that's the rough picture.
Mm.
And I'm okay with that,
So where do you have a lack of self-belief? Like in what parts of your
Well,
Well, for a long time it was physical.
yeah.
And there was the.
I'll list them.
Intelligent. Okay.
Yeah, we can.
I'll do that. I'll go through them. If you're cool with
Josh,
that, Josh.
yes, we only met
No,
once
no,
or
no, you
twice.
don't have to. You don't- I'll do the. Where's the self? The lack of belief is in whether I'm ever doing a good job, like whether I'm ever.
like at work.
Yeah,
Mm.
like I don't think, and a lot of people do this too. Like you never walk out going, "Oh, nailed that,
Yeah.
absolutely nailed it. Could have done it better."
Mm.
And I don't really, even if we have wins, I don't really celebrate wins because I think you put that behind and focus on the next thing.
So
Get
you
that
don't-
next thing right.
Because obviously in your job, in like a commercial radio situation, like ratings is the big thing. Well, one of the big things.
Yeah.
But it's the sort of is it 6 weeks? How often do the ratings
Yeah,
come
8
out?
weeks or so.
8 weeks.
Yeah.
It's like ratings come out, and if you do really well, the whole station goes
Yeah,
bananas.
Let's go to lunch.
And if you don't do well, then it wasn't an
You
accurate
complain
survey.
about the system.
yeah. So in those moments, because obviously your bosses and stuff are excited when you go well.
Yeah.
Does it brush the sides for you?
No, it shakes you.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And you go back to thinking, I just need to focus more. I need to work harder. I got to relook at all of this stuff.
Oh,
But
right.
really, it's,
If it doesn't go well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to make some changes in my life. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to do that. But I'm always willing to test it. You know what I mean? That's one thing that I'm always willing to. I think it comes down to also being. I'm talking in riddles now. I'm fascinated by people. I'm fascinated by what you can do with people and what people are interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what drives me as well. Fascinated by relationships.
Well, that is what makes you so good on radios, because you have people calling up all the time. You're interviewing people all the time. You are genuinely so interested. You
Yeah, I
love
am.
people. And like, doesn't really matter who it is. You'll be just as fascinated with like some person who's just called the show
Yeah.
versus Hugh Jackman on the show.
And I think there's a craft to that as well.
It's natural for you though.
Yeah, I'm comfortable. That's one thing that I've always been comfortable with. Probably social.
But, and before it slips my mind, people should definitely Google Hugh Jackman, you and Hugh Jackman
Singing
Les Mis together. It's one of my favourite.
He was
We'll
okay.
link to it. We'll put it in the show notes. It's
One of my
was
favourite
okay.
things I've ever seen. It was brilliant.
We're going to play a little bit for you now. Did you guys do inserts?
we don't do
Oh, you
inserts.
don't.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
Click on the link.
So on the self-belief thing, all the evidence, the numbers, your career would indicate that you're extremely good at what you do. Do you feel like you're good at what you do? Like if you, in an honest moment, do you think, yeah, I'm good at my job? It might be an uncomfortable question to ask you.
No. When you're on, I think, similar
Yeah.
to Shelty and what you do and what you guys do. And when you feel like it's flowing, absolutely. Like you feel like you're fit.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how you can go from feeling like this is the easiest job in the world to this is the hardest job in the world. Like completely trusting yourself, and whenever you open your mouth, you're comfortable with whatever comes out, to, I don't know if I should talk today. I don't know if that's going to. But then it also, when you work towards something as well, like I remember when we would do stuff, Shelts, and I'd do a break that didn't go to plan, or
It's like a talk break. Yeah.
yeah.
What's a
or-
talk break? Just for
It's like a bit where you just like a 4-minute
Yeah.
slot between songs.
So
where you
I
talk
might
about
say-
I was going to say for people listening, but for me,
Yeah.
I'd say, Shelts, I got something on, I don't know, animals.
Yeah.
I got something on animals that I've been putting together. I think it's quite funny or whatever. Here we go. Ryan, Monty and Wippa.
God, I haven't heard that in a while.
And then it doesn't go to plan. And it's such a sinking feeling. Where you go, oh my God.
because you're really putting yourself out there.
Yeah, you
with
are.
What you think is good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you go, here it is. And you've worked all night on it. You know the feeling?
Yeah.
You've worked all night on it, and you're excited to think that there could be someone listening in their car, and you are going to have them jumping about.
Yeah.
And then it just
It falls flat.
sinks.
Yeah.
And you go, whoa. But that's like any MC job or
Yeah.
anything you do. The minute you put yourself out there and someone criticizes, you know.
Well, even if they don't, because on radio, no one's
you
criticizing you. You just can tell. You can feel it. But do you think so? Someone who's a big part of your work life is Tom Ivey.
Oh, yeah.
So Tommy is your producer,
Yeah.
or executive producer, I guess he would be technically. And he was our producer as well. And he's just one of the greatest
Extraordinary.
people
Yep.
you'd ever want to meet. And I felt like when we were doing the show, I felt like he was very instrumental in the belief side of things. Like I felt like he would
Make you believe.
make you believe that you could do it, and he is like constant positivity
Yep.
and optimism, and let's just do it. Is that still a big, like, I know it's different now,
well,
but
it's almost like, not that he's a laugh track in the room, but when it's a mate, like
Yeah.
when it's a true mate, you know you're going to laugh along.
yeah.
So having him there is like that. But there's also like, I mean, Shelters across this, you guys don't know. I went through a rough patch when we did the show, and it was like the darkest I've been. Like, dip the toe in the end. It was horrible. And so
So how long ago was this?
this would have been, what year did we do the show?
We did it in 2009 and 10.
Was it 9 and 10?
Yeah.
And it was a result of something that just completely spiraled. But the hard thing was, we're doing a radio show, an afternoon drive show, which is meant to be relief for everybody,
And fun and
coming home at the end of their day. And I had just gone down at 100 miles an hour.
Are we talking like like depression.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'd had elements of that, and I think you go back to sort of the developing. I think that was kind of my first nudge of feeling like something wasn't right to an extent. Because I remember going at that age of sort of 18 or so, even then, taking some antidepressants. And I remember sort of at that stage going through that, but everything had sort of run fairly fine until...
How long did you take antidepressants for when you were 18?
Maybe 3 years. And then I was seeing a doctor one time and she said, "What are you taking?" And I said, "Oh, this drug affects all XR." And she said, "Do you need it?" I said, "I don't know anymore. I don't know. I'm just on it." She said, "Okay, well, why don't we get off it? Why don't we just sort of wean you off it and see how you feel after that?" And which we did, and I was fine, and we carried on.
Because you have to go slowly off that.
Yeah, it's like, you halve the dose or you take a tablet every second day. Or, but then what's interesting...
Was that scary? Or you just...
coming off it?
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay.
No. I don't remember it being a scary time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I almost didn't want to be in it, and I probably didn't have the right education around it, because there was part of me that went, "I don't want this false happiness."
Oh, yeah.
That's how I looked at it. Don't offer me false happiness. I want to know what's really going on in this world, and I want to know where I'm at, which is just not the case. And I mean, a lot of people take antidepressants. I take them now. I'm back on them now, but for different reasons, because I have a very busy life and I have a huge responsibility of a wife and 3 kids. And if I said to you, it's so important for you to have a clear head. So all I'm going to do is shield your brain a bit. I'm going to armor you up a bit. All right. So those moments where you might be getting trapped don't trap you, then this is a good move. So that's why I take them now, because I can see if I start to spiral. I've worked out a little bit of what the signs are of when I'm not in the greatest place.
I didn't know you're on antidepressants now, and I haven't spoken to you about that. As in, like, how you're going now. But would you be comfortable talking about what sends you down that spiral now? Like the signals, that things that happen in your life that you're trying to protect yourself against?
There's not so much triggers, I don't think. I mean, failure would be one. If there's failure, if I think I'm a failure.
Consent can like put you in a down spiral.
Yeah, but more like, great example would be, I start to get stuck on things in my mind. I start to, things play over and over, things that don't even matter. And I go, why? Why is that?
Like what? Like what would be?
It's so ridiculous. That's the thing.
No, it's probably not.
So there was an issue at work that was happening. I didn't like it. Everybody else agreed with it. I didn't like it at all, and it didn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Something you're going to do on the show? Or
something like that. So I remember talking to all the people, and they simply didn't see what I was seeing. And it doesn't matter who was right in the end, but but
thumbs up.
It was, I couldn't get that out of my mind. And at the same time, like, here's a great example. I wanted to buy this table, and this guy, I'd said to him, "Hey, how much is the table, mate? I want you to make this table for me." And he went, "Here's the price." And then I rang him back a month later and I said, "Hey, great. I want to buy the table, mate. So should I send the money, whatever?" And he goes, "Oh, the price has gone up." I went, "Well, you need to honour the price. That's the right thing to do here." He wouldn't. And I stewed over what I was going to do to this guy like you wouldn't believe.
Really?
So I would lie in bed thinking, I'm going to call every interior designer and tell them, you never buy from him, because this guy is a crook. So he gives a fuck about the table.
Yeah.
Like, buy another table, mate.
Yeah.
But it was stuck in my head. And I remember driving along with Lisa one day and I just burst into tears, and she said, "What's wrong?" And I went, I don't know. And it almost gets to the point where you go, I don't really have time for this either. So when that starts to happen, when I say I don't have time for this, there's probably added pressure I put on myself, but I just do all the simple things, which are simple for a reason, because they do work. So making sure that you go for an hour's walk, exercise is unbelievable. If you couldn't get your hands on antidepressants, exercise will pull you out. I mean, in my case, I say that, depending on where you're at. But one thing, as Shelts, that we've never probably spoken about is I've never had the chance, I probably have had the chance, I've never asked you what it was like for you. Because
When
here
we
we
were
were.
working together.
Yeah. Here we were back in 2009, 2010, trying to generate a brand new brand that had the excitement of Nova behind it. Why, I've got Nova management calling my management and, Dad, and saying, we got to do something here.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
It wasn't good.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they were calling. Oh, really?
Because I just, I remember one night in particular, we went to Adelaide for something. And I remember because you and I've always said this, I've said this to you before, I will be forever grateful. You were there. Monty, Tommy, it was, and that's why I'm so sensitive towards it as well. And why it's so important is because, it's so scary. Where you go to is so scary. And I remember thinking, we were in a cab and I said to you, I was sitting behind you in the cab and I said, Chelsea, I'm trying so hard. And you leant around and just held onto my leg. And it was that's what I needed. I needed someone to bloody hold me. Because I remember, and this is weird, and I don't know if I'm oversharing, but I remember we got to the hotel in Adelaide, and we were staying there, and I remember looking off the balcony thinking, I could end, not that I could end it, but I looked at it that would make it all go away. That would make it all go away. And then it was funny? I rang a doctor. I said, I'm not good. I'm not feeling good. And then, this is so strange. I was watching TV. I came back and I lay on the bed and I was watching TV and 20 to 1 was on. And I saw myself on the TV. And then a friend, Ella, messaged to go, hey, Mike, I just saw you on TV. And I remember going, that's pretty cool.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. Oh, wow. Ella just saw me. She's in Melbourne. And I'm on TV. Well, wow, I'm on TV. TV's pretty cool. You guys think TV's cool? I'm on TV. And that was a moment where
that is unbelievable.
It didn't fix anything, but it was a snap moment where I needed that. Needed that distraction or whatever it might have been. But I think as we've spoken, Fitzy and I have spoken, especially during COVID when there were so many horrible stories about the suicide rate and everything. When you're that low, you do feel like you're better off not being here for everyone. It'd be like, I can remove a problem for everybody. I'm now everyone's problem, right? Then I can remove that problem. And you think that would be better for everyone? But to think that you can be so low.
Yeah.
And for anybody listening, you're needed and you're wanted right here as the person you are. Because that's why your friends and family are there, because they love you.
Yeah.
So I will be forever grateful. And am. And it got to a point, I remember I was sitting on the couch one time. I just, it affects so many people in such a different way.
Thanks for painting that picture in the taxi. It's a really, it's
I'll never forget that, Chelsea.
Neither. I know. I'll never forget it either. It was it was scary because it felt very out of character for you. And it's when someone is because you're a very positive, upbeat person and someone who I would say, I would have you on the list of people. If I was in trouble, I felt like I could call you because I feel like you would jump into action and you would know what to do. You're reliable, very reliable. And so when we're in the cab and we're in here, I forgot it was Adelaide. We're in Adelaide, I just remember I think whether it was this time or maybe it was another time, but it's just this. You started crying, and it kind of just burst out of you.
Yeah,
it just burst out, and it was a shock.
I just didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, it was really, really, it was full on. But I didn't. as far as like what it was like for me, I don't know. I just didn't really. I mean, I was just hoping we'd hold our rating, you know,
for the survey lunch.
but it was, but yeah, it didn't.
It's the opposite of. I mean, where it can take you is the opposite of what you need to be for that job.
Yeah, I know. But I didn't care about. I remember not. I wouldn't care about that. I think I was very worried about you. But at the same time, like that really rattles me. That story about you in the hotel room, because I definitely didn't feel like. I mean, maybe I did think that was a possibility, particularly because I had another friend, you know, who Richard Marsland, who a lot of he passed away, and so I guess by that stage it was I guess it was a possibility. So maybe I was worried about it.
You know, when have you guys had Jerry Seinfeld on the show at all on the podcast?
A couple times, mate.
Yeah.
Because it might have been
not yet.
No, it might have been on here that I heard it, but the way he talks about how quite often with creative people, when you get your kit, you're born and you've got your little briefcase of who you are. It's just in the corner. There's a little bit of depression there.
Oh yeah,
and you've got all these other
For
great
creative people.
Yeah, you've got all these other great tools that sit in your briefcase when you're born, but just in the corner, and it's just something you keep. You know it's there.
Yeah,
and you just have to work closely with it at times until you can get back to all the other fun things that you have in your briefcase. And I thought that was a really good way of putting
That's really
it.
good.
Yeah, I have heard him talk about that it comes along for the ride.
Clever, isn't it?
That, yeah.
It's along for the ride. It's always sort of this just there. But I think at the same time, it opens you up to huge sensitivities of where you can give back. And I remember the other thing too, I don't think I ever really thought I would end it. I don't think I ever got to that point, because this whole thing sort of spiraled out of a failed romance. And in an attempt to get her back, I remember thinking, if I'm not here, I can't get her back. Wow. There's a bit of logic.
Oh, really?
It's not going to work if you're not here.
Oh, God.
So you need to...
So the plan is to get back with her.
Wow.
Have to be alive to do that.
You would have to, yeah. You'd have to.
That was your thinking.
Yeah.
You know what, actually, is coming to mind. I really want to try and clarify how I was feeling at that time. And I genuinely, I think what I felt, because we knew each other through friends, through like, you know, through a bunch of people that used to play sexual healing at SV Bar every week.
That's right. Smith Street, Collingwood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like heaps.
Tore the place down. Yeah.
On the guitar.
Yeah. Absolute legend on the axe. But so I knew you through different friends and we would hang out. But then once we were working together, that was the closest we'd ever sort of been. And I remember that time, I remember thinking that it's like, even though it wasn't intentional, but I feel like I was like led in to a deeper, like our relationship probably
went beyond John Farnham.
Yes. Well, went beyond just like, what's a funny thing we can talk about, or what's some good ideas, because we were friends, but we weren't super, super close in the sense that, because I'd never seen you like that before, because you're always pretty well put together from what I could see.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I'd ever been like that before.
Right.
Like even when I was sort of, you know, if we were looking at it like times of experience when I was younger at sort of 18, 19 or whatever it might have been, I was never that low. No way known.
I remember also thinking, I'm glad I was there in the car. And I remember thinking, so just when you said that before, and you were quite emotional just before, my instinct was like, I want to like hold your hand, but I didn't, because I felt like I might be weird to do that. But I didn't. But it reminded me of like when we were in the car. I was like, I'm glad I pushed past that weird barrier of awkwardness to grab you.
Do you know, if there's one thing that I think, and I was saying this to a friend the other day who was doing it a bit tough, there's one thing that kind of you take out of it. You take many, many things out of an experience like that. But as I sit back and I go, when I'm not feeling great, and I go, well, you've done tougher days than this, mate. We've done a hell of a lot tougher days than this. So let's just get through that one. Because this is nothing compared to what you've been through. So you'll be all right. You know, when you know it's been worse. Shelts knows I don't like flying. So when I've got a couple of bumps, I go, oh, I've done worse than this. That's all right.
Yeah.
Pull up your socks, big boy.
There was one flight from Melbourne to Sydney. It was horrific turbulence.
Worst.
It was horrific turbulence. I'm not a nervous flyer, but I was terrified. It was like huge drops. Yeah. And for whatever reason, we must have, we weren't
Did you
sitting
request that?
Didn't request it, but we weren't sitting together because we checked in late. And so we were separated and these drops were huge and it was scary and people were like screaming and shrieking. And I just heard from like 5 rows away.
Trying to land in Sydney.
And I just heard Mike just yell at, Shells!
And I'm thinking, when's he going to hold my leg?
That's his thing.
If there's ever a stage, hold my leg. And I think I yelled at the cabin crew, take us to Brisbane. Because he aborted the landing.
Yeah, he did.
Take us to Brisbane.
Yeah.
That wasn't fun.
That sounds terrifying.
I can just tell another great flying story about Mike, which we may or may not keep. When we were flying to Japan, you remember this?
Sort of.
We were flying to Japan and I think there was a stopover. It was from Melbourne to Tokyo or wherever we were going. And there was a group of us flying and we must have been stopping in Singapore or something like that on the way. And it was whatever that flight is, you were a very nervous flyer. So you took some, I'm assuming it was Xanax.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was Xanax to try and sleep, to try and calm yourself and sleep. But because you wanted to make sure it worked, and this is certainly not recommended at all.
By any professional.
You took 3.
Whoa.
To make sure.
I was not expecting that number to be 3 then.
Just to make sure
Really
it
big pill.
did the job. And again, we must have checked in late, so we were all separated. There's about 6 or 7 of us, and you were sitting next to some guy, stranger, and you started watching The Hurt Locker.
Oh, yes.
You started watching The Hurt Locker, the movie, on the plane, and of course you start drifting off. And then, you sort of in and out of sleep and Hurt Locker's still playing. And, in your kind of like drowsy kind of state, you say to the guy next to you, you're like, mate, this is the longest movie I've ever seen. And the guy goes, yeah, well, you've watched it 3 times.
Don't take still knocks, kids.
No.
You'll end up in your undies.
It would have been still knocks, actually. You took 3 still knocks.
Really powerful.
Yeah, really powerful.
Anyway.
Be careful.
Love this flying podcast.
Can I ask about, it's going back into a dark place, and we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but I am kind of interested in how you, because I think it's a valuable, if you want to talk about it, how you get from, there was the seeing yourself on the TV was the thing that snapped you out of it. But what did a recovery to a place where you felt like you were sort of thriving again look like for you? Was it a quick thing? Like, were there things that you did? Was there?
I don't think it was a quick thing. I definitely don't think it was a quick thing. There was a lot of work in it, like therapy.
Yeah.
And, if there's one sort of metaphor, I suppose, in a sense of what it was like, which I've said before, is when you're lying under the water, every now and then you come up out of the water and take a breath, and then you just sort of sink back down. Taking a breath might be going for a walk, and then you lie back down. Then after a while, you come up and you take another breath. And then you continue to do that, and then your breaths become more frequent. And then all of a sudden, you don't want to lie in the water anymore. I want to get out of this water. So you just start to slowly pick yourself up. But the hardest part too is thinking, what's it going to look like after this? What am I? Do I make a full recovery?
Yeah. Who am I without this sort of thing?
Yeah. Who am I? But in a weird way, the experience grows you to something more knowledgeable, more skilled, more armed, and takes you to a different place in life. And I think in terms of relationships, if I hadn't gone through what I did go through, then I probably wouldn't have been in the right place when I met Lisa. And that naturally became the next stage of my life. So, I mean, you don't have to go through that to find the love of your life. It's a lot of easy ways to do it. But, I think in the failure of that relationship sort of took me from a boy to a man. I learned a hell of a lot. And I remember thinking, if I get through this, then there needs to be a purpose to it. Like there needs to be a reason. So let that reason be that I'm sitting here with you guys now and someone might listen to this podcast and they might think to themselves, I am needed here. I had that thought, but I am needed here. Let it be that one of my kids, God help us, finds himself in a tough place, and I'm able to be there with him and tell him, I've been there, mate, and I get it, and here's what we're going to do as a team. So I feel like I've picked up this skill set through it, been lost in the woods, and now I know how to get out of it. I can help those that are and play a role in sharing it,
Beautiful, mate.
Incredible.
because it must
really
must come back. Like there must be a reason. Like it must serve a purpose. Whether the purpose was just growing up and meeting Lisa, whether the purpose was the podcast or TED, or realizing that I'm now on radio and I've got an audience that we can have an impact on. Who knows? Let's use it to the full advantage.
I mean, just the impact of you telling that story on this alone, on top of all the other stuff, is enormous, I would say.
Don't you think, though, whenever something happens like that, you go, God, there needs to be something in this. There has to be more. Has to be more.
In the sense of like, there's got to be a reason why I got through that or why I need to get through that.
But not under the title of everything happens for a reason.
No.
It's just, I think more that I'd gained so much knowledge or such a shit experience that we have to somehow turn this into a positive.
Yeah.
I
know
and
what you mean.
build from that.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I certainly, I'm not a big one for the everything happens for a reason thing. I think that doesn't work for me. But the idea that you can go through something, or I feel like shit things I've been through, you're like, well, I don't want that to just be a shit thing. And now that I know something, I feel like it's betraying other people not to tell them or not to try.
I've got it now. I know that.
Yeah, I've learnt something, and I feel like I'd be a bit of a piece of shit if I kept it to myself, because
Funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even the growing up thing. Like you look at the kids and
The kids in general?
my kids,
Oh, your kids.
the future.
Not just the young generation.
No, not the young generation.
your kids.
Too much vaping.
Yeah, oh, God.
Side note.
Here we go.
Get off the whistles, kids.
On his soapbox again.
There's the
The
watermelons.
whistles.
Anyway, Jack, he's definitely my child. He's born with 3 chins and a hairy back. I'm looking at him now going, sorry, buddy, but there's ways around this.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to develop early.
Yeah, okay.
But now I know what to do.
Yeah.
And now, like in our house, nudity, pubic hair, growing up, periods, whatever,
Milk on the bed.
milk on the bed, none of it is a big deal. So the kids run around the other night, the 2 boys were running around with a torch down near their crotch going, I'm going to get pubes soon, Dad. Look, I'm going to get some pubes. And I'm going, great. Because I want it to be like, do you want Vegemite on toast?
Yeah.
I don't want it to be anything.
Yeah.
Or pubes.
Or pubes on toast. I don't want it to be a thing,
Yeah.
you know?
That's great.
But if that hadn't happened to me, well, then maybe we wouldn't be talking about pubes or even have a torch.
Yeah. You'd probably have a torch.
No, probably not. I would say no.
Lots of people have torches.
So
Yeah.
Specifically
There's
a
only
pube
one
torch.
function for a torch.
They're not strongly aligned to the pubes.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, I got a torch. So yeah, I think even out of that, you kind of take something to, like we were talking, Hugh, about bits of personality. Like I remember when I was 13, there was a guy and for some reason, he was just really grateful for things. And he would go, "Hey, mate, thanks so much. I really appreciate that." And I went, "Oh, that's how a parent speaks, but you made me feel good." So then I started going, "Hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate that." Just little bits like that you pick up as you go through it.
Yeah.
That feels like, I mean, we'll probably take this bit out, but it feels like dating. Like when I was single and going on dates, I was just a collection of all my favourite people in the world.
Yes.
A bit of this guy, a bit of that guy. I'll bring that guy. He's great. I'll bring him along. None of me. There's none of me there.
Here's some stuff I recorded.
Do not let me come through. I have to cover up me.
So funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I feel like I do that still.
So do I.
Absolutely.
Pick up bits that I like from other people.
Yeah.
Ditch the rest. Then you see things you don't like. And you go, "Phew,
Yeah.
never do that. That bloke's a turkey."
The turkey.
Absolute turkey.
Yeah.
Gosh. Thank you for sharing all that.
That's
really,
okay.
I mean,
Great to have you in the treehouse.
It's good to be here in the treehouse having tea.
Yeah.
You let me know, guys, if there's sort of a 5-minute warning before we wrap up, because there's a little something I'd like to do at the end of this podcast.
Okay.
If that's okay. So
go
if you
on
feel
then.
the timing is right, I mean, if you guys,
I mean,
are you comfortable for me
feels
to?
like the time.
I mean, we talk about being vulnerable. It's quite a hard word to say, by the way. So just careful with your branding on that.
Yeah.
Make sure everyone gets it right.
Okay, yeah.
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable, yeah.
And this isn't so much a thank you. It is a thank you, Shelts, in a way, because what I'm about to do, I couldn't do if we didn't have the friendship that we have. But as a creative, right, we love the outlet. We need the outlet to do something, right? And I've done something creatively
What
that
have you done?
I've never spoken to anybody about.
Oh, yeah.
But I have it here gift wrapped for you.
Oh.
So I've got it in my bag. I bought a little bag in. So you're going to be so confused yet so excited about how weird this is.
What?
Pull this out. I wrapped it.
Oh, my God. I'm really nervous.
I mean, I'll give this to you now.
I'm terrified.
Just to give you an idea. This probably took about 2 years, and my wife's not even really across it, but I just know how much you'll enjoy it.
God, I hope I do.
I did the wrapping.
You've wrapped
myself,
it very nicely.
Thanks very much. Because you can't buy it anywhere, mate. So, yeah. So you just, I mean, for the sake of the audio, just rip into it a bit quicker.
Yep. So Ryan's currently opening his present, his gift from Wippa.
A book
Yeah.
of some sort, white, soft, paperback
Yeah.
book.
Which way?
Oh, okay.
I wrote an erotic novel. Called The Far Too Personal Trainer. And I just knew how much you'd love it. Don't get a stiffy now. And I've put it.
Hang on.
I mean, there's some final changes needed, but this is all my
can you read out a
writing.
paragraph?
Can I read out a
Some of it is really graphic. Like when I say, it's just Schultz. Have you seen how many?
Oh my God, this is the greatest thing.
Have you seen how many people in media have been writing kids' books? Who's writing for the adults?
I remember, Mike, okay, to give some context.
The Far Too Personal Trainer.
He just roots around town. He roots. His name's Ben Holder, and he's in love with this girl called Emily Shine. But his reputation is terrible. He's a pig of a man because he trains these women. They start to feel good, and then all of a sudden they think about who made them feel good. Ben did.
Okay, oh my God. Can I read? Okay. Yes. If you have kids in the car, obviously, warning.
Okay.
Chapter 1. Hi, I'm Ben, the boner man. Now, the boner man is italicized for some reason.
Can I just add too? What's different to any other book you've read is I do it like I'm talking to you. You don't get he said, she said. It's like it's live with you.
So this is grabbing you from the very start.
Yeah,
This
so it's
is-
different. This is different.
Okay, hi, I'm Ben, the boner man. Sorry, that's Rob, one of the other guys who yelled that out. Oh, that's why it's italicized. So it's like, hi, I'm Ben, the boner man.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's Rob, one of the other guys who yelled that out. He works here at the gym too. I'm sick of them calling me that. It's not good for my rep. Then, shut up, mate. I'm trying to do an introduction here.
Live, like it's talking to you, personalised.
Yeah, I'm Ben, not the boner man, and I'm a personal trainer.
That's good.
I'm a good-looking rooster. Yeah, probably a 10 out of 10. There's unfortunately a spelling mistake, but
Is it? How's he
People looking over my shoulder when I was writing it. I was very nervous.
I'm a good-looking rooster. Yeah, probably a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
6'3", blonde, wrong spelling, bloody fit, six-pack, probably 8.
Good start.
I put myself on that hotornot.com website once and I've kept a few of the comments. Have a listen to this. Sally B writes, whenever you're ready, Zoe69 says, hey, Barbie, I found Ken. Very good.
Sounds perfect.
Hang on, you've written very good. Is that you, the author,
Yes, I
writing
think
very
so.
good?
I made my own notes for me.
Oh, very good. And Dixie writes, can you put your banana in my smoothie?
Wow.
Wowee. Hey, you... Oh, God. Oh, my God. Ha, you mad mole. Ha, you mad mole. I should have followed that one up. She looked all right. I hope you don't think I'm over the top here. I just want you to get an idea of what I look like.
That's good. I'm
and then
getting
you
it.
can work out for yourself whether I'm a good catch or just a fucking idiot.
Wow. That's powerful.
Wow. Okay. I'm not going to go on because it gets...
It gets, and that's just a
Yeah.
start. That's a teaser. Like everybody's, if you're listening right now, you're going, where can I buy it? You can't.
There's one
Consider me
copy of
too.
this. Is this the sole copy? If you
That's
made
the sole
multiples,
copy.
This is the sole.
Well, there's
no,
actually 3.
There's 3.
Lie,
Whip.
blatant lie.
This
I just,
is.
and what's interesting about it?
Oh my God! I can't even say it.
So Ben, right, is a character that's obviously made up. I don't support what he does. He doesn't treat women very well. He's a bit of a piggy.
Yeah.
Then, as you read through the book, you start to learn why he's a pig
Oh.
because of his behaviour and his heartache. Then you meet the family. There's some life lessons.
Okay.
And then it kind of changes from who's this pig of a personal trainer to, oh my God, I just hope things work out with the girl of his dreams.
So it's a love story.
Oh my God. With a lot of rooting.
Okay. I got that.
Yeah.
I got that from the boner man in the first line.
Now, I would love you to read it
I would love to read it.
without getting too excited.
Impossible. Impossible.
So,
So, what is the plan with this? Is this the final step, or did you want to get it published properly? Like, what are you hoping will come from this, other than the beautiful gift that it already
I
is?
don't know. I haven't thought past this moment.
This is all it needs to be.
I just knew the appreciation that you would see not only the effort, but how weird this is.
So Lisa doesn't know you've been writing this.
Lisa knows I've spent hours sort of
laptop.
writing work towards something like this, but I won't let her read any of it.
I cannot wait to read this. I cannot wait. I'm just flipping to different pages, just seeing sentences. Like, how is that going to fit in?
I don't know.
Not literally.
No.
Yeah.
He never questions how's that going to fit in. So there's a little gift for you.
Oh, Mike, that is truly one of the greatest presents.
It didn't take long putting it together.
Oh my God.
Just
it's
last night I whipped it up,
amazing.
but I knew how excited you'd be.
Far too
Thank you.
personal trainer.
Yeah.
Thank
3
you,
copies
mate.
only.
Oh my gosh, what an announcement.
Well, Whip, I cannot thank you enough for the book, obviously. But
Extraordinary.
it's all seriousness. Thank you so much for coming onto the show. It is so important, I think, what you just talked about. It means a lot to me that you'd come on the podcast and talk
I
about that.
love this show. When you messaged me and said, would you come on the show? I understand if you don't want to. I was so flattered to be invited to come on the show.
Oh, well, of course.
A lot better than Glenn Robbins. Oh, I can't do Uncle Arthur, but good app, wasn't it?
It was.
It was good.
So was this. Whip.
I agree.
Unbelievable, mate. Thank you. I feel like it's one of the more vulnerable conversations we've had on this podcast. I really
Oh,
do.
thank you guys.
Yeah.
And you've done it. You did it so with great sensitivity and care and thought. And I think on behalf of all our listeners, Really, really appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, team.
Incredible.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Enjoy the book.
The Imperfects is hosted and produced by Hugh Van Cuylenberg, Ryan Shelton, and Josh Van Cuylenberg. Our executive producer is Bridget Northeast. This episode is filmed by Andy Poole and edited by George Martin. The Imperfects is not a licensed mental health service and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, treatment, or assessment. The advice given in this episode is general in nature, but if you're struggling, please see a healthcare professional or call Lifeline on 131114.